Sean, Tristan, I'm Jake. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. Everything works best in moderation, when you're doing your practicing, when you're doing your offhand tasks and coordinating all of your everyday things. What exactly is the best thing you like to do when you're not playing the game? Like, what's your best?
Like my favorite hobby, you mean? Like outside of the game?
Like outside of the game, we'll like to unwind and kind of get your mind off of things.
I would say rock climbing for sure. It's something that I had done throughout my childhood, and even growing up in college, I was climbing a ton, maybe 3-4 times a week. And just to stay physically fit, but it's also, I think it might appeal to a lot of gamers because it sort of combines that physical activity with a very, mentally taxing endeavor, right? You're thinking about how do I do this move, not just am I strong enough? So rock climbing for me has always been a huge release, and I've just been getting back into it recently. Initially in Overwatch League, I was just trying to practice 24 hours a day, but I've come around to realize that I actually perform better when I take the time to de-stress and work out. So rock climbing is kind of perfect for that.
And is that a shared endeavor with the rest of the crew there? Do you guys like to do that together, or is there something else?
No one else actually climbs on the team, so it's really just me solo. But that's okay. I like it that way. I like to just go and not really talk, just listen to some music and climb for an hour or two. It's just a great way to unwind and be physical.
Perfect. Yeah. All right.
More of an Overwatch League related thing. How much of the actual competition in Overwatch League is more based on raw mechanical skill and teamwork, and how much of it is based on mental fortitude and not tilting mid-match if things are going wrong?
And I think I gotta say initially, if you'd asked me that question at the very beginning, I would have said almost all mechanics, and then nobody tilts, right? Nobody has bad mentality. But I think what's come to become obvious, I guess, for us as players is that this is such a long season, and it's so much more different than any other esports endeavor we've done before, which was all tournament based. That keeping that mentality and focus throughout the long season is something that is really difficult and requires not only support from your organization, but also the constant effort of every player on the team to maintain a positive mentality, especially when things are going bad. So I would say at least 50-50, honestly. Keeping a good mentality is crucial to performing on match day.
Okay, yeah, we've kind of gotten some different answers on that question. Some people think it's a lot more mental aptitude to that, but no, it's refreshing to get that.
Certainly, of course, just being able to play the game better than other people is probably going to get you wins. But when two very closely matched teams, do battle, there's so much, layering of strategy. You're thinking about neither of you is doing the optimal thing because you're both trying to be prepared for them doing the optimal thing. But so that results in very interesting strategy, especially over a hotly contested series. Teams start to figure each other out by map 3, map 4, map 5. So at that point, it's really crucial that everyone be calm, everyone be relaxed, and you're just ready to make adaptations as you need. So that's why I would say mentality is key.
Yeah, you guys kind of found a little rivalry against the London Spitfire because you guys have had a bunch of games against each other. Do you find yourself specifically preparing for them in a certain way versus other teams?
I don't think we ever I don't think we really treat matches differently, depending on which team they're against. Just for example, a lot of people, I remember last stage, a lot of teams were putting their subs in against Shanghai or something, but we this time, we just treated them like any other team. We researched the way they wanted to play. We researched their new players and figured out what their most comfortable heroes are and what their play style is, and tried to be prepared for that even though we hadn't seen them play. So we just treat every game the same. Show the other team the respect to really prep them out, know what they're going to bring. Because any team in the Overwatch League can get wins. Even teams down at the bottom have proven that they're not to be trifled with. That they can definitely come back. They can always win a series. So I think for us, it's a big thing is just every win is worth the same, right? A 4-0 is a 4-0. It's all about map differential. It doesn't really matter who you get it against, except some weird obscure tiebreaker scenario. Of course, against these really strong teams, and notably the Korean teams, we really do want to win. Maybe just to make a statement, but I think for us, we've always maybe performed our best against the Koreans, but I think that's less about us being wanting it more and more the way our style meshes with the styles of Korean teams is very interesting and competitive for us. We actually find that our style is more effective against Korean teams, a more slow, controlled style. So I think that might explain why those games seem a little different.
And it's funny too because when I look at the other teams, it seems that they have really good synergy in certain areas, but you have the integral Team USA kind of core coming in together with you. How much does that influence your camaraderie, coming into the league and then building upon future strategies against these? Has that really been a good benefit to talking to each other, giving each other critical input?
I've known the Team USA guys for a while. Obviously since we played such a big tournament together. And I knew some of them even before. But I also have known a lot of the players on this team, the FNR GFE players, like Muma, like Boink from TF2. So for me, it's this is kind of a dream team scenario where I get to play with these players that I've been really impressed by their work ethic, by their talent, their dedication. So I think for me, it's like I wouldn't even just say Team USA. I would say that the everyone on this team is a player I'm excited to play with, and I think we all have respect for each other, which makes it very easy, to work together, right? Like, we take the time to have discussions, and everyone is passionate, and there's nobody that like sits there and says nothing. But there's also, we try to prevent having any sort of like one person overruling another. Like, we always try to discuss it out, make sure everyone is heard, and then we sort of come to a decision together about how we want to play the game.
I'm assuming that translates onto the playing field as well. Like, there's no dedicated shot caller. You guys are all putting in your input based off of perspective.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know what the strategy is going into the map. We know what we're going to play against. The one time that there might be a sort of a shot call type situation is when the enemy does something that we're not prepared for, something that we didn't expect, and we need to make a radical change that our comp is, we don't think we're going to win, and we need to actually pull something new and maybe something we haven't practiced. And that's when it's really on, I would say, one player, whatever player thinks they're the most confident about it, to say, this is the strat, tell everyone what their hero pick is, and tell everyone how they're going to play. And that's when maybe an IGL role actually starts to matter, but I find that's really, really rare because the meta is pretty established, I would say. Usually we have like a few prepared compositions for various possibilities they might run. So very rarely, I think, does it come to that extreme shot call scenario. Maybe in OT scenarios are very common for like a big shot call, like you might be like, no, we're going to run quad tank here, but we're just going to pressure the objective because the cap is so close. So things like that allow an IGL to shine, but I think the game has just progressed beyond the point where an IGL can be functional. You need input from every player on the team because every player on the team has different pieces of information, and if you're not pooling those pieces of information, nobody has a complete picture. So it's kind of on everyone to contribute to the pool and also everyone to draw from it and decide how they're going to play based on information the teammates are feeding them.
On the topic of compositions, recently we've seen you on the Tracer a lot, but today Linkser was on the Tracer more and you were playing more of a Soldier flex DPS. So is that decided just based on if you have a feel for the hero on a certain day, or is it a coach's decision? Like, how do you choose who plays what?
I mean, we're still, I would say, experimenting as far as how we're doing the Tracer role. Obviously, with neither me nor Linkser being experienced Tracer players, it's been a struggle at this stage as far as like figuring out how to play the role, actually practicing it, being good at it. But I think it just comes down to the fact that Linkser has much more, just much higher mechanical skill than me in terms of just raw aim. So giving him the Tracer role, even though he's not a specialist, he's still able to shine and be really effective. And then that allows me to play my comfort heroes. We might make exceptions, of course, for some certain compositions. Like, for instance, you saw in Gibraltar, I was playing Tracer. So it sort of depends on the map and the situation. You'll probably see Linkser on Tracer more often than me in the future.
Yeah, so I remember when we were watching you with the other two DPS, it was Baby Bay and I believe it was Dreamcasper, you were at the round table having some discussion. You were pretty impressed with, how the inaugural season of the Overwatch League, it's kind of kicked off and become this kind of titan of a league of, video gaming that hasn't really been touched in an area before. Nate Andrew came out and said that he wants to, his goal is to get 28 teams. Does that at all put any daunting pressure? As in, like, there's 12 teams here. You have the luxury of all of these teams that you understand their playstyles a little better. When it expands, is there anything in the future that you guys are going to have to try to talk about, or do you even consider these factors at all?
I think for us, it's like, we'll just react to things as they come. I think the 28 teams is like a long-term goal, so that's not something that we expect to see in the very near future. But I'm excited. I think that Blizzard has big plans for the Overwatch League, and to me that just makes me really happy. Coming from a game like TF2 where the developer kind of just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Having Blizzard be this proactive and this interested in furthering the esports side of the game means that there's just no question in my mind that this is where I want to be and this is what I want to be doing. As far as adjustments we're going to make for a larger league size, I think there's going to be a ton of things that change. And I honestly think that the larger league size is going to be a smaller adjustment than things like relocating to cities, and figuring out when that's actually going to happen. So I think for us, it's, we'll react to things as they come. Obviously, with 28 teams, it'd be a little bit harder to keep an eye on everybody and to be, as aware of every team's strategies. But also, we're not going to be playing like radically more games, right? So if there's more teams, it'll just be we play each one less often.
Yes.
So I think that might actually make the league more interesting. There'll be less ability to like fully prep out an opponent because there's simply more opponents, so it's more difficult to prepare. So you have to just maybe prioritize a little more effectively about which matches are we preparing for, which matches are we going to be a little more impromptu for. So, I mean, there's certainly some considerations there, but I think we'll just react to things as they come up.
That's it for me, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Awesome.
I think we can wrap that up.